Hey guys, this is Alan from GameCraft Miniatures. I want to talk to you guys today about the Blackhawk down target building. I have it available in 3 different scales. Here is the 6mm or 1/285th scale version, and here is the 15mm version, and then of course this big one right here is the 20mm version. Now I'm going to show you how to assemble these buildings. I'm going to be using the 20mm kit because it's the biggest, it'll be the easiest for you to see. But every single one of these 3 versions here all go together exactly the same way. They all have exactly the same pieces, with the one very small exception of the 2/85th scale model has a base. And the only reason it has a base is because on the inside of the courtyard of the 15 and 20mm versions, they have these pillars that come down. On the 2/85th scale or 6mm version, those pieces are so small and delicate that they'll just bend and break. So having a base on the bottom really helps prevent that, because you can glue them down to the base. So other than the base, this goes together the same way as this goes together, and that goes together the same way this one goes together. So watch this video, you'll see how the building goes together. There's a lot of different things you can do in different order, but there's a few things that need to be done in a very specific order, so that's why I want to show you this. Now the building itself can be built as one solid unit like this, or you can build it with the back section as a separate unit, the center section, and the 2 wings as separate units. So you can have 4 separate pieces, which may make it easier for you to transport. Or maybe you want to use this building as a different building, maybe without the back courtyard on. Maybe you just want to use the 3 front pieces. That you could easily get away with doing. So that gives you some flexibility in the use of the building and also in transportation of the building. Now it should be noted that on the 15 and 20mm versions, these 3 roofs, the center section and the 2 wing roofs, can be built as removable if you want. The back section here, the courtyard area, cannot. It's a little more difficult because of the way it goes together. But these 3 here, if you just don't glue them in, they can be removable. And then you can have the option of making floors inside if you want. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and clear these away and lay out the pieces for the kit and show you how to start building it. Okay, so before I get started, as with any MDF kit, you can use whatever adhesive you like to use. Basically any adhesive that would work for wood is going to work fine for MDF. You can use white glue, it's commonly called school glue or whatever. You can use wood glue, which is normally yellow in color. I prefer to use a CA glue, crazy glue, a gap filling type formula. And the reason for that is I work fast and I want to get these things together real fast. But if you want to take your time and use a wood glue and clamp everything together or rubber band them or whatever, you can do that. I really like to use the CA because I can put a strip of the glue on there, spray it with the accelerator, and that piece is done, and I move on to the next piece, as you will see as I'm going through this. So I have the sub-assemblies here kind of bagged up. This is the center section, and these are the 2 wings that come off the center section. And then over here, all of these parts are for the back courtyard area. We'll be going through each part individually as we get through them. But for now, we want to start with the center section. We'll start there and we'll work our way out, and then we'll work back. So we'll just put these guys aside. Let's open this up. And we have a roof piece. We have a front facade. You'll notice that it has the lines engraved in it, and it has these decorative bits across the top. This will be the last piece we put on the building center section. And then we actually have the back. The back, you'll notice, has 2 slots in it and a door. That's how you identify the back. This is the front, and later on the facade will go over the front, so they kind of match up. And then we have 2 sides. The important thing to realize about these sides is these 2 little slots here go towards the front of the building. So you could get them backwards, theoretically, so don't. Get these towards the front. So this would be, when I'm looking at it from the front of the building, this is the left side and this is the right side, because these will go to the front. So the first thing you're going to want to do is probably start with the back. Lay the back down flat and then get the side, since this is the back and these slots go towards the front. When this goes together, those two slots there should be facing away from the back. I'm going to use just a little square here, and got my CA glue, and we're just going to get started. I'm just going to put a bead along that seam there and a little bit of accelerator. I'll just hold that for a second, let that cure. I'm going to put the top in, but I'm not going to glue it in just yet because the front is actually what locates it. It's free to move right now, so I'm just going to set it in there. Go ahead and put this other side on, and we'll just push it up against the top, which that gets everything nice and square. Bead of glue across there. A little bit of accelerator, we'll hold that for a second. And now we'll put on the top. I'm sorry, the front. The front. Okay, now here is a place where you're going to make a choice. If you want the top removable, you want to make sure you don't glue around the top. If you do want it removable, probably you're going to want to glue a little block of scrap wood on here, or something that you can grab the top, because the top is going to have to tilt slightly and then pull out of the slot on the back, and you'll just figure that out when you get it all together. I'm going to want the top permanently on, so I'm going to go ahead and glue it on. So now that I have my two sides and my back glued together, I'm just going to pick this up, turn it over, glue the front wall to the side, hit that with a little kicker, glue the other front wall to the other side, a little bit of kicker there, or kicker, accelerator, same thing. Some companies call it different things. Now I'm going to go around the inside and glue the top to all four sides, because I don't want this top removable. And I'm moving very quickly on this because I don't want this video to be a half-hour long, but also to show you that this model can go together very quickly. So just hold this for a few seconds, make sure all that glue is dry. Now we take the facade that goes on the front. This has two purposes. It gives a little three-dimensional detail, and it also covers up the seams where the fronts and the sides meet, so there's no puttying required there at all. That'll just cover that up. So keeping in mind that there is a bit of the top exposed here, you can draw a line on there if you want, and that tells you not to glue above a certain point, but I just kind of know it's right about here. So I'm just going to put a line of glue there, some down the sides. Kind of like that should be enough. And then just line it up with the edges. Put it on. A little bit of the accelerator will seep down in there. Kick that off real fast. If you were using wood glue or white glue or something, you'd probably put some rubber bands around this, or some masking tape, or maybe even some clamps if you want. But using the CA glue and the accelerator kind of negates that. You don't need to do that. So I'll go down here on the bottom. And there is basically your center section of the front of the building. So now we have two side, I could call them the wings, the bits that come out. And they are different because they're opposites of each other. So we'll just open them up. I don't know which one's the right and which one's the left until I get them open, and then we'll figure that out. Okay, so we've got both of these open. And the way we figure out which one is which is actually the back wall. This is what the back wall looks like. And this is what the opposite back wall looks like. They're similar, exact mirror images of each other. So when they're across the back, the windows here will be towards the outside. So that tells me that this back wall goes on this side. And this back wall with the windows all the way over there goes on this side. So just put that guy aside for the minute. We'll just go ahead and build. We're going to go ahead and build this one now. Like I said, I know the windows go towards the outside of the building. So this is the back. We have a facade that goes on the back. It's just a bit of trim there. We have a facade that goes on the end piece. So we put that aside. Any of the bits with the little decorative stuff on the top, they're going to the back here for a second. And this is the facade for the front. So that goes away for a moment. We build the basic structure and then we put those on. So now we have the back. The back is laying face down. You'll notice the roof has 2 tabs here and 1 tab here and 1 here. The 1 tab goes towards the back. You'll see that there's a little slot for it to go into right there. And only 1. So that tells you that's where that goes. And then the 2 tabs here go into the front. So I'm going to start by just attaching that there and the end here. Just holding it together by hand. Put a little glue, attaching the back to the end piece. And again, I'm not gluing the top down yet, because for one thing it's optional, you don't have to glue it down, and for two, everything's going to square up once I put this front piece on, and then I can glue the top on if I want. So we put the front piece on, get all the 2 tabs there and the 2 tabs there. Now I'll just go ahead and glue the front to the end piece. Now if I want to, I can glue the top on or leave it removable. I'm going to go ahead and glue it on. So just holding everything together. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just going around the inside where the top meets the front, the back, and the side. The end. Front, back, and end. That's what I'll call them. Okay. A little bit of kicker. Now that bit is together. There's nothing on this side. That side's open because it goes up against the building. Now I find it easiest, before applying these bits of trim, the facades, I find it easiest to go ahead and attach this, if you are going to attach it. Like I said, these can remain separate pieces if you want them to be. I prefer them to be together. It just makes it one nice big unit. But actually in this case I'm going to show you how to do it, keeping them all separate. On the finished one I showed you it was all together, but I'm going to show you how to do it separately. So if these were together, this would go on the front and bump up right against that wall, and it hangs over on the outside. So whether you're going to glue these together or not, go ahead and put them together now just temporarily to let you align this properly. So now I'll take my front piece. Like I said, you could put a line across here to show where the roof line is, but I know to go down about 1/2 inch with my glue. And I'll go ahead and put some glue here, and then on each one of these little pillars here. That should be enough. Holding all this together, put this on, making sure it's up against the building, and just glue that sucker on. Now that that's on, if I hold them, I can separate it, put a little of the accelerator on, which will fix everything in position. Put a little bit down here. When the accelerator hits the wood, it soaks in and changes colors. Eventually it evaporates and all that goes away, so no need to worry about that. So now we have the front facade on, and it's hanging over the end. So now that tells us where this one needs to go. It needs to go on right up against that. So same deal. Very simply, put some glue on there, and put that guy right on there. Everything's good. Okay, now just a slight tricky bit here. This little piece of facade work on the back goes on even with the edge of this facade, and you want to make sure that it's not covering these two slots here in any way. What you can do is there's a couple little pieces of MDF that come in each one of these bags, and these are going to be some stairs that go on top later. You can use this right now, just slide it in there as a kind of guide. You know you don't want to hit that. So I just put a little piece in there. It's just sitting in there. Go ahead and put some glue on here. And we want to line up with this edge here, and also make sure we're not pressing on that piece which I just pushed through. So if that can go in easily in both of those slots, we know we did that right. So a little bit of accelerator. And now they fit together perfectly. Now these two little bits here are just a bit of stairs. You go right up against this. You put the biggest one. There's a bigger one and then a smaller one. Bigger one goes on first, and then the second one goes on top of that, and that's just stairs leading from this level up to what's going to be the courtyard area in back, which is slightly higher. So I just put a little drop of glue there. Put that guy on. Little drop of glue on top of that one, and that guy there. So you've got your stairs attached right there. Right up to the edge, or close to it. It's not really critical. So there you've got your center piece and one wing. The other wing is done exactly the opposite. I'm not going to film that. I'm just going to go ahead and build it right now, and we'll come back when that's done, because like I said, it's done exactly the same way in reverse. Alright, so there's our three pieces for the front, the center and the two wings all put together. This whole area back here has no detail on it because the other bit goes up to it. The courtyard area comes right up to where this facade piece ends on each side. Like I said, I even said I was going to glue this together, and then I decided at the last second I'm going to leave it separate because I want to show you guys how it can be done this way. And actually I'm going to end up sending this to somebody, so I think it might be easier for me to send it in pieces. But it goes together really easily, and if you wanted it all as one piece, you just glue it together right now and you'll be all set. So I'm going to set this aside, and then I'm going to bring out all the pieces for the courtyard area right now. Okay, here I have the pieces for the courtyard area. If you hold this up, and you'll notice that there's approximately 1 inch on the 20 millimeter, approximately 1 inch thick area here, and a big, huge thick area back here. This is the front. This is the area that goes towards the rest of the building. So we're going to call that the front while we're building. These are the pieces that go around the inside of the courtyard, very detailed pieces. They'll go on a little bit later, so I'm actually going to put them aside for right now. This is the balcony area that goes, if this is the roof, the balcony is the next layer down, and that's actually what makes up the upper balcony floor of the courtyard area, so that's an important piece. Now, how do we know which way this goes? Well, on the tabs here, there's 4 tabs around the outside. One of them, it's going to be very difficult to see in the video, but one of them is just slightly longer and it has a slight chamfers cut on it. That tells you that's the one that goes towards the front. So look for the one that has a couple little cut corners on it, chamfered corners. That's the one that's going to be the front. So that identifies that one. So I showed you these pieces here. They go around the inside. The next pieces, which are slightly wider than those, these ones are going to go around here, just slightly inset or outset, whichever way you want to talk about it, from those. And then there's these 3 much bigger pieces. They go completely around the outside. So we're going to actually start by taking this away. We have this sitting here. We have the one with the chamfers. We know that's the forward one. And now let's look at these walls here. Okay, you'll notice that two of them have a side with no tabs or no slots. This one has it here, this one has it here. These are exact opposite mirror images of each other. The bits with no tab or no slot go forward towards the main building. So let's lay this down here with this edge going forward. Let's take this one with the edge laying forward, going that way. Lay those down that way. That leaves this one here to be the back one. This slot here, and this slot here all align with the slots on the balcony. So what we want to do is, the easiest thing to do is with this laying down, just go ahead and tilt this up so it goes into that slot. Find anything square you have just to kind of keep this approximately 90 degrees. And then I want to go ahead and put a bit of glue on the underside. I like to do it on the underside because then it's not on the floor where you're going to put your guys later. Okay, we put a little bit of kicker on there. And now let's take this back wall, tilt it up, and put it on. Put a little bit of glue holding the two walls together. And then a bit connecting the balcony floor to the outside wall. Okay. So now putting this down again the way it's supposed to be. This is the front, facing the front of the building. This is a side, this is a back. And then we have this other side over here, which just tilts right up into place. And let's go ahead and glue that in. And a little bit of glue on the underside of that balcony floor. So now we have two sides and a back of this balcony area. Again, this is the front with the little chamfered edges on that tab. That's the area that's going towards the building. Now, once I have this together, I can bring my top back over. Again, this is the front. And just set it right down on, lining up that tab there. This back tab comes through, and this tab over there goes through. Now, let's see if I can pick this up and show you what we have. So now you have your three inside walls, balcony floor, and then your very top roof. We're building this kind of from the inside out, so it's a little odd to do it this way, but there's a reason for it. So now I just want to flip this over, go around the outside, put some glue, a little bit of accelerator because I have no patience. So there we have the roof. We have those three inside walls and the balcony floor. Okay, so now we have these three outside wall pieces that go around the outside. Two of them are approximately the same size, well, exactly the same size, hopefully, and one is quite a bit bigger. The one that's quite a bit bigger is the back. So let's put this on the back. We'll just hold it here for a second. And now we have these two, and we got to figure out which one's which. Well, the ones with the tabs here go into the front structure. The ones with the little slots end up matching up here. It's really the only way it can go. If you tried to put this one on here, it wouldn't work. So let's put that on. Now, while we're holding these together, it's kind of a little bit tricky, but we just kind of tilt this up and glue the side wall to the back wall. And I'm going to go around here and glue this wall to the roof piece. A little bit tricky to get in there, but we'll get some glue in there. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and rotate this down. Now we're sitting on the back wall. Let's glue the back wall to the roof. Okay, now the back wall is glued to the roof. Now if we want, we can just take this other side wall, line up the slots with the tabs, tip it up, get all these tabs and slots lined up just right. Okay, and I'll go ahead and put some glue in here, attaching the side wall to the back wall. Give that a second to cure up. I'll rotate it. Now we're sitting on the side wall, and I'll just go down and attach the side wall to the ceiling. Now I've done this a couple of times. I've done all three scales, so I know how these all go together. If you're a little more comfortable kind of dry fitting everything, maybe taping things together and then going around and gluing everything all at once, that's fine too. But if you just follow the instructions that I've just given you here, it should go very smoothly. But I always recommend dry fitting everything and making sure you've got it all right. But okay, here we go. So we're up to this point. We have our side walls, our back walls, there's interior walls in here, there's the balcony is in there. So now all we need is these little guys here. These are the very decorative pieces that go around the inside of the balcony. Okay, now that we have these pieces out of the bag, we see if we line them all up, as far as the openings go, they're all identical. But the edges have different details on them, and those are important. One of them has no tabs and no slots on the two sides. That's the front piece. That's the one that's going towards the front. So let's put that one aside for a minute because it's the last one to go on. Then we'll notice that two of the pieces are identical in that they have slots on both ends, both edges. Those two are our two side pieces. And then one of the pieces has two tabs on each side. That's the back piece, and that one goes on first. So I already have the model tipped up. This is the front, facing the front of the building. This is the back. So we want to put this in here. Easiest way to do that for us is to put some glue on here first. And then just put this in there using those two tabs and slots to get it aligned in the center. Once it's on there, put a little bit of accelerator on it to get it fixed in place, and there you can see it's in there. Now we have the two side pieces. These are interchangeable. It doesn't matter which one goes on either side. So we'll just tip this up right now and show how this goes. I'm going to dry fit this first to make sure it fits. This is a tiny bit tricky because there's a couple of tabs on the end of that one and a couple of slots on the end of this one. So you want to get those two together first and then let it sit down. So you're going into the back and then letting it sit down, and it works perfectly, as it should. So now that I have it dry fit, I know it's going to work. Again, we'll put some glue on here. You can put a little bit on the areas that are going to meet up with the other one, and then we'll slide that back in there. Get it in this way first, and then just rotate it down. And there, it's in there. Once it's in, put a little bit of my accelerator on here. Okay. So now we have two of the bits in there, the back one and we'll call this the right side, looking from the front. So now we need one over here. So same deal, it goes in at an angle first. These two little slots here match up with the two tabs that are hanging down, and then it just falls into place and it's in there. So a little bit of glue, a little bit here where the two are going to meet. Slide that in there first at an angle, and then just let it lay down. Push it down real nice. And now we find out why the front one has no tabs or no slots, because there would be no way to put it in at an angle and then rotate it down and have it lock into other slots. It just needs to go right in and then straight up to the front. It has two little slots here, one for the balcony floor and one for the roof piece, and that's all that really locates it. So I just put that in by hand like that, and then I'll just flip this over because this is easy to get to. Put some glue there, a little bit where they meet, across the balcony floor, and then here where these pieces meet, and then put a little accelerator on all that. And there we have the courtyard section. And as I said, these discolorations here, that's from the accelerator. When it evaporates in a little while, that'll all go back to normal color. So we can see inside the really cool balcony detail that's in there, and then the actual balcony floor where you can put your guys in there. As long as they're on bases that are 1 inch in diameter or less, they'll be fine. On the 15mm version, they need to be 3/4 of an inch or less. So there is your back area. You can go around these edges where they meet and put a little putty in there or whatever. You know, get as detailed as you like with that. But this is basically together. Let me just set it here, go over and get the other pieces. Okay, so we have our 3 pieces here. We have the front and the 2 wings, and then we have the 4th piece here, the back, the courtyard. So just to put them all together, just easiest thing to do is to assemble the 3 front ones as one unit, get them situated, and then it just slides all together. There's a couple little tabs you got to get lined up here on this side, and then there's the 1 tab in the middle for the balcony floor once that's lined up, and then the last wing is there. They're all together. That is your entire assembly, completely built and ready for finishing. As I said before, the 15mm and the 2/85th scale versions go together in exactly the same way, the same sequence of events. The only difference in the 2/85th scale version is that bottom floor base that you will add at the end. It'll be the last piece you add on. So there you go. There's the entire building in one piece. You can glue it all together now if you want and leave it in one piece, or you can, leave them all as separate pieces. Just might make it easier for you to transport, and also leaves you the option of just using this as a standalone building if you want. So I hope that explains to you how this goes together. Like I said, dry fitting everything together first is a real good idea, but if you just follow the steps of the video and build with me and just keep pausing the video as you catch up, it should go very nicely. Please feel free, as always, to email me if you have any questions. If you're having a problem putting yours together and there's something you can't figure out or doesn't seem to fit right, it's always best to take a picture of your kit and where you're at and the problem you're having, and then just email that to me, and you will get a response back from me personally telling you, you know, what you need to do, or if there is something wrong, I'll fix it for you. But I've built all three of these in all three different scales. They all go together very nicely, so I don't think there's any problems with the kit. So as always, enjoy, and let me know what you think of the kit. Thank you very much.